Hi, this is your host Larry Smith, and you're listening to Speak Out podcast, a community outreach of the Lawrence County Career Technical Center in Moulton, Alabama. Today, my co-host is Cody Seay, a senior at Lawrence County High School and a robotics and electronics student at the Lawrence County Career Technical Center. Hi, Cody. Let's welcome our guest to the show.
Hi, Larry. We are excited to introduce our guest for the podcast, presenting your best self, Mr. Ken Brackins.
Kenneth A. Brackins is a recently retired psychology instructor at Northwest Shoals Community College. His background is in clinical psychology. He has over 34 years of service in the community college system, along with civic and community involvement. He believes that education, academic and technical, economic development, and recreational opportunities are critical for healthy individuals and a vibrant society. He is a graduate of Northwest Alabama State Junior College, the University of North Alabama, and Alabama A&M University. He is the chairman of the Lawrence County Industrial Development Board, chairman of North Central 310 Board, chairman of the Jesse Owens Park and Museum Board, and vice chair of the City of Moulton Housing Authority. He is a graduate of the Alabama Community College Leadership Academy and Leadership Alabama Class 18. Cody, we'll start questions with you.
Did you always want to be a college professor? How did you find that career path?
Well, first off, thank you, Mr. Smith and Cody, for the invitation here today. I was a 1976 graduate of Speake High School, and I played basketball. I was fortunate enough to receive a scholarship to then Northwest Alabama State Junior College. My coach, Jerry Daly, placed all of us incoming freshmen in a psychology class. And that class just grabbed me and just wouldn't let me go. And from that point on, I never thought about anything else. It answered so many questions that I had about life and living and everything. And so I made it a career. I tell students sometimes that I didn't choose psychology. Psychology chose me, and that was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me.
Wow. Well, Mr. Brackins, how can students become better learners, better studiers?
When we talk about learning, learning is a relatively permanent change in behavior potentiation that occurs as a result of reinforced practice. And one of the things that students have to do is practice, practice, practice. Also, taking good notes. And one of the things that I've witnessed that students might not like to do as well now is reading. Reading, increasing your vocabulary. All of these things put together helps to the individual to learn how to study there. One of the things that students should do is not try to study for 4 hours in a row. After about 15 minutes, you need to take a break. Allow that information to kind of marinate a little bit. Go over it, and then take another 15-minute block. I suggest to my students that you divide an hour into 20-minute sessions to study, and then review those sessions, and then write out the information that you've learned from that, and then gradually going over it at different times. That's an excellent way of increasing your learning ability. The brain is able to easily adapt to that, and you'll find that that would be a much better way of studying than trying to do it 4 hours in a row.
Well, great advice, Mr. Brackins.
When should students start applying for colleges?
Students should start looking at the opportunities that they have probably in the 11th grade. Of course, you can start thinking about what you might be interested in well before that. But what you want to do is to get research about the colleges that you're wanting to attend, whether a community college, technical college, four-year institution, whether you wish to go out of state or in-state, whether you're wanting to go to a university. During your senior year, you should then start to make application to the colleges of your choice after narrowing those down. You make application, Also for financial aid, apply for any scholarships that might be available. These things should be done probably the first of the year during the spring semester. Most colleges there would be awarding those scholarships and acceptance letters usually in March or early April.
Okay. Well, in today's podcast, we want you to help us present our best selves. What advice would you give high school and college students for making a good first impression?
This is related to the question previously, relating to learning. We want to be able to define learning and understand what that is. It's a relatively permanent change in behavior potentiation that occurs as a result of reinforced practice. And remember there, when you look at this process of learning, how do you go about dealing with it? How is it going to help you? One of the things that I try to share with students is your ability to learn is going to determine so many things about you in the future. It's going to determine the food you eat, the car you drive, the house you live in, the neighborhood, how other people relate to you. But more importantly, it's going to determine how you feel about you. And so you have to be responsible for yourself and decide early on what it is you wish to do with your life.
Okay.
What is the first thing you noticed when you were interviewing a student or job candidate?
Well, the first thing you notice is their dress, mannerisms, whether they're nervous or not. You notice their ethnicity as well. And one of the things you notice as the interview progresses is whether or not that student is able to relax and get comfortable in the situations that they're in. This is an important task for students who are wanting to interview for jobs and other situations there that might be important in their lives. So be aware of those things. Body language is important. Sometimes students have little tendencies about themselves that they're not aware of. So you want to look at those particular things. One that I see sometimes is eye rolling, and sometimes it's part of them being uncomfortable. So you really want to take care of those before you involve yourself in an interview.
Well, what is the most important thing to remember in an interview? Is there any one thing that is the most important thing?
Well, if we go back from the beginning, let's say arriving on time. That's a critical issue there. I had a colleague who said that if you arrive on time, then you're late. You need to be there early in order for individuals to look at and examine time management skills that you might have. But be sure to present yourself in a positive way and dress appropriately, of course, for the category of the interview that you're having.
What are some common mistakes students make in giving a presentation?
Well, not researching the material and knowing that material in-depthly. What you want to do there is to be able to present your material in a way that individuals are going to be able to accept it and the message that you're trying to deliver, whether it's an informative situation or something that is going to inspire you. You want to make sure that your enunciations and pronunciations are correct. Make sure that you have the information there condensed in a way that that individual will understand and be able to act upon it.
And now let me go off the trail a little bit here too, because you just mentioned speaking and being able to speak clearly and pronounce and enunciate. That's very important in an interview.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The idea is that, especially in an educational institution, it's as soon as you can start to develop a professional attitude, professional language, the better off you're going to be as an individual.
And so what about slang or words that are not really words that a lot of people use now? Should you avoid those in an interview?
Absolutely. You want to avoid all of the slang words, not only in an interview or even in your writing. I once had a student that passed in a report to me with texting on it instead of spoken language.
Let's talk about social media just a little bit. Do employers really look at candidates' social media before hiring? And what should I keep in mind when posting information to social media?
Yes, the first part of that question is yes. Many employers do, and many universities do as well. The research is filled with individuals who've had their scholarships taken away as a result of things that they posted on social media. We should be very careful about what we're putting there. And note, I recall some of the students have said that, well, that's an invasion of privacy. It's not an invasion of privacy if you're putting it there for everybody else to see. And employers a lot of times make a big investment when they hire someone. Colleges make a big investment when they give someone a scholarship or accepts them into their school. So these things should be limited. And I would suggest that individuals not post anything that they're not willing for their parents or other people to see that shows kind of their rationale.
And really, someone's presence on social media could make a good impression on an employer as well. If an employer looks at the candidate's social media, and can they determine that person's character, or maybe other things about that person that would really be clues to how they would perform in a job?
Yes, to a degree. It tells a little bit about the insight that the person is, the insight that the person has, and their thought processes. And that certainly depends on what you're putting out there and for what purpose are you putting this information there. And in some cases, your value could be enhanced if it's good stuff. If it's stuff about your accomplishments and things that you've done, then that's certainly a positive for you.
Our podcast all focus on topic related to careers, and of course, make a good presentation is important. What advice would you offer students who are deciding on a career path?
Well, first, Cody, I would say to students, don't rush in deciding upon a career path. Take your time, do some research, and find something that might be interesting to you. Take a look at your skills, what you like, your abilities, before you decide that this is going to be what I'm going to settle with. Don't settle for just anything. Also, don't feel bad if you haven't made a career choice by the time you've graduated from high school. As in my case, I shared that a lot of times you don't know what is available out there, and you don't get a chance to experience that until you get into a college environment there. So take your time, determine how much time it's going to take for you to earn the kind of degree that you want, whether or not that piques your interest. One thing to keep in mind too is everybody has something that comes natural to them. You would want to seek a career that would allow you to use some natural abilities that you have. And those things will always make you feel good in that career and in that environment.
And I know you were saying earlier that when you decided to be a college professor, that when you started learning about psychology, then you just knew that was where you wanted to be, what you wanted to do in your life. And so is everyone who, as they go to college and decide on a career, and you're saying that everyone's going to have that moment, kind of when the light bulb turns on? And
Absolutely. I would suggest to all students who are graduating from high school these days to at least consider going to minimally a community college, just for the experience and to see what is going on and what is happening. Because a lot of times you don't know exactly what's available and what's there. You don't know how these careers or disciplines can make you feel. So by going there and getting some experience and seeing what it's like, sometimes you may be found, as we say, by a career that you never thought that you would have. And that's in what we would call the general liberal arts category. You don't have to declare a major, take the basic core courses, and those courses will spur you into whatever career it is that you might be interested in.
Yes, a lot of students seem to want to get through those core courses quick as they can, or they want to jump ahead to the other courses, but the core courses are very important.
Absolutely. The core courses basically creates the foundation for everything that follows. And those courses are important in expanding one's brain, if you will, expanding their knowledge base. And that's what education is all about. It's about increasing your knowledge and understanding of things. And with understanding, you always feel better. It makes you feel better if you can understand something and take information there and use it in a positive way.
Well, Mr. Brackins, thank you very much for being with us on Speak Out today. That was some great advice for the students. And Cody, thank you for being my co-host today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being here. It's good being home. Thank you.
You have been listening to Speak Out Podcast, the community outreach of the Lawrence County Career Technical Center in Moulton, Alabama. I'm your host, Larry Smith, and I'd like to thank my co-host, Cody Seay, and our guest for today, Mr. Ken Brackins. Please check out our podcast on the Lawrence County Career Technical School website and Lawrence County Schools Facebook page.